Hello. It is a very special episode today for Strategy with Sally. We are celebrating 600 episodes. Yeah! So, as we celebrate our 600th episode, I have some special guests lined up today that are going to be kind of sharing the stage with me today. Just a bit of a candid conversation. But as always, we're going to kick it off with our theme song as we kick off our 600th recording for Strategy with Sally.
You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. You always thought that you were weak, but babe, you're wrong. Yeah, you better step into the light, just give it a try. Think that it's time you let that spark out. You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. And who cares if you might mess it up? You're stronger than the others think. And who cares if you might mess it up? Go ahead and shine, darling. Go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine. You shouldn't doubt yourself, 'cause you're a work of art. You should know that you are perfect with those flaws. Yeah, you better step into the light, just give it a try. Know that it's time you let that spark out. You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. And who cares if you might mess it up? You're stronger than the others think. And who cares if you might mess it up? Go ahead and shine, darling. Go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine, shine, darling. Go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine. And who cares if you might mess it up? You're stronger than the others think. And who cares if you might mess it up? Shine, go ahead and shine, darling. Go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine, shine, darling. Go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to a very special episode of Strategy with Sally. Today is not the usual teaching style session. Today is 600 episodes. Yay! Can't believe it. Wow, 600 episodes. That is a lot of conversations, a lot of business lessons, a lot of tech stuff, and a lot of behind the scenes moments, and honestly, a lot of showing up even when life got busy and not always perfectly, not always neat and tidy, and lots of, The joys of live moments when things break. So instead of just sitting here and doing that normal teaching stuff, today I wanted to have more of a candid conversation about the 600 episodes, what it's really taught us, and bring in some of the team members that are actually involved in making sure that this live stream happens every single week, at least for the long episode lessons, and just talk about the systems, the support, and how we were able to stay consistent. Because honestly, the truth is, when people see the consistency from the outside, they often think that, it's a lot of motivation and it's a lot of getting shit done. But honestly, from the inside, consistency is about structure, right? It's about the support that I've got around me, and it's about really building that rhythm and like that muscle memory that I've got to show up at Tuesday at 10 o'clock. Melbourne time every single week to go live. But we also do a couple of shorter episodes throughout the week that aren't recorded live. That's why you should always go over and listen to the Strategy with Sally podcast, because we also do quick tips, or we might do a series of different things each week as well. So every week we drop one long episode, which is a teaching lesson or an interview of some sort, and then 2 quick tips or sort of short kind of seasonal stuff that we do as well. So really, it's been amazing. I can't believe we've made it to 600. So today, let's have a look at some of the team that I've brought along with me today. Let's bring them up on screen. Here they are. Hello, team. Yay! Got to give them some sparkles and some claps as well. So you all know me already. I'm Sally, right? I am the host of Strategy with Sally. But also I'd like to introduce you to Ash. Ash is part of our team. She's also our customer success manager. She helps with a lot of the customer support work, and she does a lot of outreach to prospects and leads as well. But also she does help in saying, oh, this person would be really good for the podcast, and connecting them. Then we've also got Mar here. Mar is the one behind the scenes who is literally scheduling and editing all of the podcasts every single week. And we can talk more about all of the things that we've been through over the years. And then Vinodi is the one who sets up the reminders, the banners, the emails that go out to remind everybody, and then also sets up the funnels if we start doing if we have a freebie to give away. But that was a very high level sort of introduction, but I'd like them all to maybe introduce themselves and say what they like about working on the team. Let's begin with Ash, because on the screen you are, well, to my left or down below, depending on what version you're looking at. Ash, introduce yourself, say what's good about working on this team, and what you've kind of learned over, well, a few episodes of helping me with the podcast.
Hey, hi, hello. Excited to be here. What I love most about being on the team, I think, is being able to actually genuinely help people. Most of you know I have a very big desire to make a lasting impact, and I believe OmniSam genuinely does that for business owners, small and medium. And, there are a few things in this world that are a big decision. 1, buying a house. 2, starting a business. And OmniSam really gives that support to business owners who are sometimes, solo, they're alone, they're trying to figure it out, and they have a lot of questions that maybe they're not sure, what to do, where to go, and the family don't really understand. So we get to help them navigate this crazy world of entrepreneurship and all of that kind of stuff. So, and I love seeing their faces when something just works, and when something clicks, and when that lead comes in, and, the cost per lead is low, and there are just so many things to celebrate within this business. So I really enjoy the impact that we have. So that was my favorite part about being on the team. In terms of my favorite part about the podcast, I'm going to quote Menno, potty bomber. My first experience with actually being on the podcast a few months ago, I bombed the podcast and just rocked up and started asking questions and kind of took over a little bit. But learning myself more about business operations, um, other business owners' journeys, because we do a lot of collaboration and interviews, and just knowing that there's a place to go, just to hear those tips and things like that. And you can do it in the middle of the night. So that's sort of one of my favorite things, is being able to listen to your brain in the middle of the night and no one knows, and it's a secret.
I love that. Ma, how about you, my darling? I mean, you've been around for a long time.
And
How long have you been down the team for now?
I was here since 2021.
There you go.
2021.
Jeez. You've
Yes,
seen a
I
lot of
I
coming and going
know.
inside of this team then, haven't you?
I know. It's nice, but it's like a good place to be in. You get to witness the growth of the team. And yeah, that's something that I also love about working here, is that you're able to, everyone is just so encouraging. And I know if you've been to the VIP room, you'll feel that energy, that feeling of just being encouraged, welcome, and any time that you need help, someone is there to help you. And that's also the same thing if you're part of the team. Everyone is just very encouraging. Everyone is just ready to help. And it's something that's consistent. And what I love about the podcast is working on it, and just how it's just so personal that even if I'm not in the room while we're recording it, while editing it, I feel like I'm still in that conversation. And I guess for our listeners, it's also the same thing, that as you listen to our podcast, you'll be able to just be in the same recording room as the host Sally and whoever the guest is. And it's just so nice that we can cater to just having conversation, giving tips, giving just like a quick takeaway for you to just listen if you have a lot of things to do today. Just being productive in that 3 to 5 minutes of your time. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
it for me.
All
It's the
right.
600th episode.
I know, right? When I was getting and I'm putting the list of episodes in, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe we're about to hit 600. I know we kind of jumped over 500 and I forgot to do a little bit of a celebration for 500. So I'm like, I'm not going to let 600 fall through the crack. It kind of nearly sort of did, didn't it, guys? Because we honestly, it's just a candid conversation today. We're really just going to share thoughts, ask each other some questions. But Vinodi, you help with once the episode has, at least the topic has been decided. What do you like about being on the team? And then I guess share what it is that you do behind the scenes for the podcast.
Hello, everyone. So, for those who don't know me, I'm Ash. Sorry, I'm Vinodi, not Ash.
That is hilarious.
The automation builder for the team, and what I love about being a part of OmniSam team is everybody. When we are working on something, we have like so small puzzle pieces coming in together. Everybody has a big part to do in one of the big tasks that we are doing, and when everything comes together, it's one big beautiful picture. That's what I love about the OmniSam, everything about OmniSam. And what I do for Strategy with Sally is, even though I'm very client focused, every week I make sure that Sally is ready for the next week's episode, and the YouTube thumbnail, Facebook banner, everything is ready. And there's a lot of things behind the scenes for Strategy with Sally. And most of the people, they will only see a YouTube live notification going on, or like a reminder email coming up, but there's a lot of strategy behind it. And yes, you will be surprised to know what's actually behind it. And I love working on those little things and making sure everything comes in smooth on every Tuesdays.
Awesome. Well, on that note, Vinodi, why don't you walk through, because people are probably thinking, maybe I want to start a podcast. What are the steps that you go through each week when, well, before you even, you've got to hit Sally on the shoulder quite a few times. So even start there. What is your actual steps that you go through every single week?
Yes. So when I start working on the strategy with Sally task every Thursdays before the week, I have this group of tabs open for me, so I don't forget any of the tasks. So the first one that I go to is a Google Sheet where we have all the topics, and if I don't see a topic coming up for the next week, that's where I start annoying Sally. Sally, topic, Sally, topic, Sally, topic. After three
Multiple
times, and then
times.
Sally comes up. Yeah, and then I go ahead with creating the a description for it, and if there's a workbook, creating the content for it, creating cover images, and then YouTube thumbnail, and then Facebook banner, and there's a big reminder workflow that we do for every year, and you will be surprised to see how big it is actually. And I make sure the times and the dates are correct in there, and then people are sitting on it correctly. We have thousands of people sitting on that reminder workflow, so we don't want a wrong email going through there. So that has happened. We have gone through mistakes and we have learned from it when I first started working on the strategy with Sally. Yes, so if someone wants to start a podcast, what they need is they need a flow of what they're teaching or what their topics are going to be. Because I know when Sally comes up with a topic, she gives me about six more topics so that I'm sorted for the next 6 weeks. So she knows what's coming up. She's not gonna get bombarded with other things in her head. So when you're doing a podcast, just make sure your flow is right and just set it up taking one day, and then you're sorted for the couple of months.
Yeah. And the workflow is big. It took us a while to get that set up. We used to just send a broadcast originally to people, but I think the good thing about the workflow is that people just sit in there to get the next one, but they can also unsubscribe if they still want to stay on the list, but they don't want the reminders for Strategy with Sally. There's what we call a little soft opt out, which removes you from those actual reminder emails as well. Now, Ash does a little bit of tapping me on the shoulder. This person would be really good for the podcast. When you're, meeting people and talking to people, Ash, sort of what are you looking for when you're thinking of, what guest or what makes someone a strong fit for the podcast?
So I think a good guest makes a conversation feel natural, and they're not there just to pitch their products, right? Because a lot of our guests are business owners and other, people in either comparable or competing businesses, and they're there to contribute. They understand business owners, they have practical experience, they can share a lesson, a story, a framework, or a perspective that helps people sort of think differently. So when I'm speaking with people, I'm listening to their stories, I'm hearing what's going on in their lives. And there are so many people out there that are struggling with challenges and they think they're the only one struggling. And so when it comes to a system, a sales conversation, or staying consistent, if I'm speaking with someone who has a really good method and they're happy to share and talk about it, I will be like, you should come on the podcast because so many people can learn from you. So if you have something to teach and you're happy to just give, because at the end of the day, a podcast it's a lead generation method, right? But it's not a come buy my stuff. So if you're happy to come and teach and give and just be a good person, I want you on the podcast.
Yeah. That's it. I like that. Got to be a good person, right? Because some people, and Mark can attest to this as well. We've had some not so good guests as well, right? Over the years. Well, Mar, you're the one who you do edit at the end. So why don't you walk people through what it is that you actually do once I've recorded the podcast? What are the steps that then you go through after?
Okay, so once because we have like a sheet where everyone can see the progress of a certain episode. So once I know that it's my time to work on a podcast, I just click on the specific um, Google folder for it, and then I upload it into our first editing platform, which is the script. So once I've uploaded in there, I make sure that all the things for me is checked. meaning those are the things that Sally wants me to cut, Sally wants me to remove, and if there are any conversation that is not for public,
Yeah,
because we
right.
have our yes, we have our VIP conversation. So we make sure that if there's any people involved in those conversation, we make sure that those things are cut off. So those are the things that I have to check on my end, because even if we have AI to help us remove filler words on or something like that, we still have to make sure that those things are especially removed from the episode. So once I've checked on that, I make sure that there are no there are not a lot of like gaps, so that we can identify and shorten it. And then that's where I check on if there are any filler words to remove, and if there are any specific um episodes that uh we need to reference, so I can put it on the show note, like any specific things that I need to put into the publishing part that I
Yeah.
have to keep in mind. It
That's
should be there.
that's it. That's awesome. And I do call you out by name.
Yes.
As well. If I make a
Yes.
mistake, I will generally say, Ma, edit here.
Yes, that's helpful. That's really helpful. And yeah, so after that, I export it and then I upload it into another editing platform that we use. And then that's where all the intros, the ads are on.
Yeah.
And so I make sure that it come in smoothly. Like it doesn't just pop up after the Sally's everyday be marketing. So it doesn't just pop on like the after the ending OBB, the exit, um the outro actually. So yes, and after that I upload, make sure that every information is in the show note. I also put that if Sally is teaching, like there's a visual that's needed, I also put that if you want to see the visual, check on our YouTube channel. So just making sure of those little details that would help our listeners to have a better experience in checking out our um, episodes.
Yeah. Now we've put a pretty decent process together over the years, Ma. When you first started, you were helping with lots and lots of things on the team, and then now you just do podcast management. So once Ash has gone out and she's found us a guest, and she's like, "This is a good one," or sometimes we get emails in, right, of people asking if they can be on the podcast. What do you want to walk through the process of what we do with an actual guest? Because, well, first we do podcast batching days, right? Kind of explain what our batching
Yeah.
days are, and then what are the process that you go through for the guests as well?
Yeah. So once the guest is endorsed to me, I make sure that they've already answered our questionnaire. So we have a specific questionnaire for our guests to make sure that we've already prepared everything from the back end before we started recording. So each guest has a specific folder where it has all the information needed on the live date of the podcast recording. So it has the topic of what they'll be talking about. It basically has the preview of what the episode will be about. And so for example, before we had some instances wherein guests they'll just they they show up but that don't necessarily give the topic that they want to talk about on the show. And sometimes what I do in those instances is just I search on what they usually talk about. And that's what I put on our guest overview document. So for Sally's script, so Sally has her own script for what the overview is all about. And the guest also has the flow of what the episode is all about. It basically has one information on what specific space will they be in, like the link, it should be there, the specific time that they should be there, because it's different, so we make sure that it has the time
Yeah, the
of
correct
their own,
time
like
zone.
it's basing on
Yeah.
their time zone. Yes, it's basing on their time zone. And then it has all the information of one a specific question about the topic, and then we make sure that there's really conversation there, not just focusing on the topic, but we have our own sparkle questions, like this is
Yeah.
our question that comes from the heart and not from the specific topic. So we vary it because, these people, they're so used to talk about their business and not really the journey before it. So that's sometimes what we talk about on that part. And then to make it more fun and something that they don't usually expect is we ask them like fast questions. So just top
Yes,
of their
fast talk.
mind, what are the things? That's really fun. So it's like a good way to end every session. And
Yeah.
we also insert there like, okay, general question and then something deep, deep, deep. And sometimes they don't, oh, that's really hard. So that's basically the format of the show. And once we have that, we basically prepare everything. Like once you got the photo from them, it's also there. Just making sure that they are really we all have the assets that we need before
Yeah.
we
And
start on the podcast, because
we always end the guest episode with, "Hi, my name is insert name and I sparkle because," which is a really fun thing that
yes,
you brought into the episode. I think it's awesome. So let's, I guess, I'm the one here been asking lots of questions. So why don't you all, let's take it in turns and ask a question yourself, because it is a candid conversation. So I'll throw it over to Ash. What's something that you want to know about the podcast, Ash?
I guess I'm a systems and processes girly, right? So, what is one thing that every podcast host should document early?
Planning. I will have to say, for a very long time, we used to just wing it week to week. I would literally wake up in the morning and be flicking through my little Kiki K books or try to be inspired by something to go live with. But to actually plan ahead allows us time to promote. So you heard Venodi say on a Thursday, she's like, pretty much, Sally, what's the episode title? So we used to just go week to week. Now we do try to at least plan 6 weeks into the future. So I think our little podcast Excel spreadsheet, where not only do we have our upcoming episodes, but we also have all of our older episodes as well, and links directly to their asset folders for each of those podcast episodes for repurposing purposes. So I would say the planning part, like planning ahead and knowing what you're going to do so that you're not just winging it. It's okay to wing it sometimes, you know me, imperfect action. But also sometimes when I'm planning ahead, I'm thinking, what promotions are running around that time? Like, twice a year or sometimes only once a year, we run Course Creation Challenge. So around that time of the year, we want to be trying to focus our podcast episodes a little bit around sort of course creation, right? So, and Danny's here with, I would love a coffee, please. So yeah, that would be what I would say. Learning from not planning, just kind of going all in would be my hot tip there. Awesome. What about you, Vinodi? Do you have a question?
Yes, before my question, I want to give a big congratulations for Sally for
Oh,
going live for 600 times. This is really exciting, and it's a big milestone for all of us. And for the question wise, did you ever imagine when you started Strategy with Sally that you will reach 600 episodes?
no. How many false starts did we have, Ma, at the beginning? I think 4, 3 or 4 false starts. Feel free to talk. We're on a podcast episode. People can't always see your faces.
yeah, cheer,
3 or 4.
cheer for you.
I think I
Yes.
started it by myself originally, and I did maybe 3 or 4 episodes because you've got to do a few episodes to get approved to be a podcast. So I did that and I got approved, and then I just dropped the ball and I kept going back and I'm going to do it again and I'd try. But it wasn't until sort of Ma was on the team and we worked out a system of always using, because I've been doing a weekly live for years and always, using that as a way to make an episode. Then we would also go back into the vault. So there was a whole year that I went live for 365 days straight. So there was some time there where Mark could you could dig back through, right? And find old things that I'd spoken about. But eventually they, got a bit old. And so we now really do plan ahead. We don't dive back into old episodes. So yeah, 600 episodes is a huge milestone. I guess because we do 2 quick tips each week, it probably did help that kind of jump ahead a little faster than just one a week, which we were originally on. But yeah, we did a lot of false starts, but 600 episodes. Honestly, though, I couldn't do it without you guys because you're there helping and making sure all the things are happening behind the scenes, right? Ma's editing, she's uploading, she's connecting with the guests and making sure that they're all locked away and come in early. We've got Ash out there looking for guests, or she's in the inbox when people are requesting to be on the podcast. And then Vinodi's the one that makes sure you all know about the weekly live stream. We probably should do more promos around the actual podcast drops for the week, which is something that keeps coming up. But without all of you, I would never have made it to 600 episodes, that's for sure, because those 3 or 4 times at the beginning, that was me, or maybe it was just me that tried, and I just couldn't do it by myself, just too busy. So definitely
Well, that
having
was
the
about
support.
2017, 2018, I want to say, because you've been running this podcast for about 7.5 years now. So
There you go.
it would have been just you.
Definitely would have been just me in 2017. That was the year that I quit my network marketing position. That was the year that I left my stable teaching job to start my business full time. So it was definitely just me back then, with a lot of hope and wish and dreams, but no real plan. Well done, Ash, for finding the actual year. That's fabulous. We weren't that prepared as we should have been for today. That's why it's a candid conversation.
No, well, it's been running for about 7.5 years, which is not quite 2017, but when you began or did that first little
Yep.
peek into podcasting, if you will. So yeah, it's been a long time, and lots and lots of different things, lots of guests, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who's considering about starting a podcast?
Definitely make sure that you give it the time that it deserves. I think there are a lot of people out there that start a podcast, but they never follow through. You'll see loads and loads of podcasts out there with, very limited amount of episodes. I think building it into your routine, I think that's what's really made it stick and become something that we do. Because even last night when I was going to sleep, my husband goes, "Oh, tomorrow's Tuesday." He's like, "Oh, it's live streaming day or strategy with Sally day." He knows it's just what happens on a Tuesday. Even when I travel, I take my mic with me, just a little portable mic, because I'll still film or record the podcast live when I'm traveling, even if it's from a hotel room or from a friend's house. So I think, building it into your routine is definitely what makes it consistent and not something that will sort of fail. In the early days, for me, it was when I started, it was about using it as a way to make connections with other people so that I could invite, because I didn't have a huge list back then and I didn't have a lot of connections. So I would started the podcast so that I could invite guests on to get to meet people, let them share their area of expertise. And then a lot of the time they would ask me to come onto their podcasts. So then that got me in front of a new audience and being able to speak to, people. And some of the guests that I've had over the years, like Amy Porterfield, Pat Flynn, Brock Johnson. I mean, the list goes on. There is some awesome, amazing people. And I've still got a big wish list of people that I still want to get on the podcast. But definitely I would say start with a bit of a plan so that you don't drop the ball like I did, having that regular cadence. Now, you don't have to have like a team of like these three amazing people like me. If you use Descript, it's very easy to edit your own episodes. I will say that our show notes weren't fabulous at the beginning, if any, right? And we didn't put promotions in. It was literally just me and a recording and bye for now. There was nothing like that in there. But definitely the planning phase, I think that's what made the difference between all of those false starts, as that we did start to put that plan into place. But yeah, and if you're thinking of starting, the guest option is really good because it gives somebody else another platform for them to come on and to share their area of expertise. But then it allows you and it connects you to being able to potentially get invited on other people's episodes. Yeah, that's what I would say. Awesome.
Yeah, joint ventures are one of my favorite things, to be honest. But from a connection standpoint, it's getting to know them, their businesses, because you never know who you can refer to them, and you never know who they can refer to you. So, but going into it, like I said a little earlier, in a state of giving and knowledge and sharing, not what can you do for me and what can I do for you, just genuine, care. What's the podcast taught you about business over this 600 episodes? What's the biggest, aside from planning and being organized, because that's my answer all the time, what is the biggest thing that you have learned in doing this podcast?
I would say listening, surprisingly, because you can, especially if you've got guests on, right? I'm one for talking. I can talk underwater. Everyone knows this. But learning to listen to be a good host, I think, has been a really big thing. I've had some fabulous comments after the end of a podcast interview, like how good I am at interviewing. I've never been trained to interview. I watched a few things on how to interview people, but honestly, it was just really good active listening. And I'd take little notes while they're talking about how I can maybe add to what it is that they've said or extend it further by asking another question. So one would be listening, and the second would be asking really good questions. Ma always sets us up with some great starter questions. She'll give me 5 or 6 starter questions, but it's through that active listening that I then extend it out and continue to ask questions and really lead with curiosity and active listening, which is a skill I've had to learn from somebody who talks a lot, is to stop and actually listen, not just think about the next thing I want to say. I'm more just listening to what they're saying so that I can then kind of add value or extend that question based off, what they've said. Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that question, actually. That was a really good one because it made me really think about what I've been doing. Other ladies, feel free to jump in and ask a question. There is...
I have a question for Ma. I know we set up everything for weekly lives and we put the recordings in the drive and then you take it from there. So I want to hear from your perspective, what are the moving pieces that people mostly don't see when managing podcast? I think you'd be the best person to answer that.
Maybe the part wherein usually it's just it's more than the cut. So usually, let's say you get an hour of conversation, and the people would just get 30 minutes or 45 minutes because we want to choose the best part of it to show to them. And that's the hard part because you just want to check on which are the best part. Because the listeners would already hear the best part. And for me, I have to make sure that it's produced well, making sure that each part is for them to deserves to be there. But what I like about what we're doing right now is because we have the guest overview and then Sally has her own script, we're able to identify the areas already. We
Yeah.
know which part is the meaty section and then which part is maybe like, for example, if it's a um like a teaching episode, so sometimes there would be questions identifying, oh, is this question helpful for a listener that's listening, or maybe it's a question for it's just an exclusive question and maybe people would want to be more curious about that and be on the VOS it's themselves. So those are the things that sometimes we don't see. And also before, we use, so every time I would listen into a full episode, I would check, oh, this is a good quick tip episode. Because before we are heavy on repurposing, like repurpose, heavy, like, okay, um, I have one episode, but I can make it into four. Four, meaning the main episode, there will be two quick tips from that episode. And making sure that people will still have the curiosity to listen into the full episode once they listen to the quick tip episode. And then one is that when we have a break, we can use it as a rerun episode. And that's
Yeah.
the power of podcasting. And that's just the audio part. It doesn't have the social media part yet. So imagine how many clips just for one episode.
I know, right?
Yeah, that's something else.
Yeah.
And I just want to just circle back on the guest side because I remember this very clearly before Sally would mention, I want to get Amy Porterfield into the podcast, and that was the goal, that was the dream. And Sally would just repeat it. I want to get her. That's the dream. I want to get her, and then we just keep on doing the podcast consistently, connecting to people, just making sure that we have like a um good, like when people check on it, it's a good podcast show to be in because that's what we want. And then finally, we get to have Amy Porterfield on the show. And we're like, I'm so happy for Sally. Everyone is just so happy because it's a different experience. Like, you get to see the person that Sally is talking about so passionately be on the podcast. And she was really able to handle that show so beautifully. And I just also saw from Amy that she was also having a good time. And for her, it's really just one of those conversations for the books. Like, so that's also my questions. Besides her, Sally, which is one of your most memorable guests in the podcast? The
Oh,
really enjoy memorable.
um, there's been so many over the years, and I feel bad that I don't like mention like Katie Fawkes or Dog Rock or like just Anna and Fulgence. I'm just thinking. You asked me. Oh, well, we can't really name names, but some of the guests that I probably was like, yeah, they should not have been on. At the end of the recording, I've literally flicked you a message and said, don't turn that into a podcast because they've all been. I would say those ones that I haven't liked, kind of digressing a bit, were those who were kind of a bit like that bro marketing style. Like it's all me. Look at my wallet. Look at my money. Look how amazing I am. I'm on a private jet type guys. We've had a couple of those, and I'm like, nope, do not put that onto the podcast episode. I don't want to name names, but yeah, they were. Oh dear, who? I just because I've had so many amazing guests, it's very hard to choose. Um, I think Pat Flynn was really awesome because I will say Pat Flynn was the person I followed to learn about podcasting. So it took me a long time to get him onto the podcast. And then after he came onto the podcast, he invited me on his. So I ended up going over, and it was like a mini coaching session that he gave me on his podcast. But yeah, I would say Pat Flynn, because he was really one of the first people that I started listening to when I started listening to podcast. It was called Smart Passive Income. I think it's just called SPI now, or he may have even totally renamed it by now. But it was one about making passive income, but he also was teaching about, you know, affiliates and marketing, which was a big thing that I was really into back in sort of 2015 through to, you know, 17, 18. But having him, I guess, as the person who was the one I went to learn how to do a podcast, then actually getting him on the podcast was pretty cool. Yeah, I would say that one. Awesome. All right.
Amazing. Well, for me, I think it's Anna and Fusions because it's our
Anna,
first time getting two guests. So everything is just how do we navigate, like in terms of learning, how do we navigate two guests and just making sure that um they're able to have the same speaking time, but they just made the episode so smooth and just, and it's a good thing because that's also what they've talked about in the podcast, to do co-host or not. So
yeah, and they've been on a couple of times now, I believe, onto the podcast, which is great. It's always a really fun conversation with any of the guys from Ecamm when they come on
yes.
the show. It's very fun. Yeah, good one there. That was a good choice. So what about you, Vinodi? What do you like? I guess this is probably to everybody. And it's more about, what do you think we could improve when it comes to the podcast? This is probably more of a team meeting thing, but yeah, I'd like to hear each person's, I guess, ideas, and then maybe it can go into the IDS list, which is identify, discuss, and solve, if we want to improve on something. But what would you say is something that we can improve on? I'll just open up the room, and whoever goes first starts talking. Giving you a second to talk, but keep talking.
I think I have an answer where we all know this. We can structure our things like without being waiting for the last minute. We can, yeah, we know we have to structure this, but we still keep pushing it towards the last minute, last day, but we are still showing up. We have done 600 episodes. That's good on us, but I feel like our episodes and structure would be more smooth if we put more time and effort into it. But I'm pretty sure because our content are good, we need to put some outreach into it, and that's one
Yeah.
of the things that I would see that we can fix. Yes, Ash.
I've got a solution for that. We'll talk.
Yeah.
I've got a
Yeah.
solution. Monday mornings, sit down and write a list of topics for the month, and then you just pick it and tell her what she's teaching. That's
We
my
just want to
solution.
book Sally. And I'm gonna go into calendar and book Sally. Sally, this is strategy with Sally.
Monday,
You
once a month, you pick 6
Yeah.
topics, you write them down, and then Vinodi, you just pick the topic that particular week, and you tell her on Thursday you're doing this on Tuesday, and that way you're done, you're good. And if Sally turns up and is not sure, we'll wing it. That's my solution.
I love that, actually, because you guys would be considering what promotions are running around those times, what's happening inside of the community. And you know me, I can talk and talk, and I can always find something to talk about a different topic. So sure, have at it. I would love it.
You write us a massive list. We tell you what from that list you're doing. Done.
Yes. Done. All right. I love it. All right. I'll start to get I'll get the next 100 episodes done, because I don't do things in small.
I have a question for Ash.
Oh, I could do I got to fit the quick tips in there.
I'm going to put you on the spotlight.
Okay. Yes.
Yes. So from customer success manager, what do you see in podcasts that support clients and prospects?
Multifaceted, right? It brings attention to difficult conversations, and conversations that a lot of people aren't realizing are actually being had. So it normalizes business owner struggle. It normalizes perspective and that people think differently. Remember, a podcast is an opinion most of the time, and not everyone's opinion is correct. So that's why there are so many out there. But for a business owner, in the context of a business owner running a podcast, one, know, like, and trust, right? You're putting out regular content. These people may not necessarily be buying stuff right now or signing up, but they're getting to know you, they're learning from you. And then just from a listener's standpoint, you're absorbing information, you're taking things on board, and you're learning things that you can implement. And podcasts are free, right? You can go and listen, you can get that education, and you can make a positive impact on your own business. You can take it, you can leave it, you can interpret it however it is that you want to interpret it. But hosting a podcast gives both sides, right? You learn by teaching. So giving that information out again solidifies what you already know, and you might get some clients from it. You've got that know, like, and trust. And then clients listening to the podcasts, they've got a chance to absorb information or something that they didn't realize they needed or that they wanted to know just kind of pops up. So multifaceted, really hard to answer in one spot because it can go down very many different avenues. And content creation, right? Repurposing. You've got the podcast. If you're doing a video with it as well, you've got social media content now. So you've got a snip that you can take, and you've got a 60-second educational video that you can go put on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. You can position yourself as a thought leader if you're using LinkedIn, using your education. I could go on.
I think that's one of the reasons what our clients love about us, that we are pushing them to do lives and like weekly sessions. So without them knowing that they have content ready for their social media and everything.
Yeah, that's one big thing we do, don't we? As they join our community, that's like, what
Mm.
day and time every week are you going to go live is one of the things that they need to commit to. Reminds me that we should be running a Sparkle Live Challenge inside the community very soon because it's been a while. Awesome. All right. I wanted to come back to you, Ma. You don't just work on our podcast, right? You work on other people's podcasts as well?
Yes.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit, being that that's what you do with multiple people's podcasts, what are some tips for our listeners around, when they're making an episode, knowing that it's going to edit right afterwards, what's some tips that you can give them when they're actually recording the podcast to make it easier for you?
Okay. So first off is making sure you're very audible, because that would make the editing part smoother. Like making sure, like if you have a guest, so that's why we put in our 15-minute check before we start and go live, because we want to make sure that everyone is audible. And so if you're not audible, then this is something that we can fix, we can note right away, so we can make sure that there's something like it needs a heavier editing. But based from my experience, especially with Sally, audio is not an issue. It's usually very smooth, and since that 15 minutes really help us to make sure that they have a good and audible sound system, like for guests on their end. And that's one. And then just making sure that you know about your who your guest is, not just their names, just making sure that you've researched. And I also would suggest to really emphasizing on that 15-minute part, because Sally also used that part to catch up with them. Just
Yes.
keeping the conversation ahead and warm. So when you went into the episode, what? Because during those times, they just prepare themselves before they
Mhm.
go on live. So that's really a help, because for some, like your guests, usually you don't talk to them every day. So it seems like a catch ups, and that's something good that we do here, is that making sure that um you know your guest well before you hit that live recording
Yeah,
part.
yeah. So
Because
that's
yeah,
it.
Sally, you want to add to that? Yeah.
Yeah, we just in regards to we always get them in 15 minutes early. One, what we do is we will talk to them and set the scene. So all of us were in here a little bit earlier. You can see we've got, if you're watching this on the podcast live stream, there's 4 photos and we're all sitting in different places around Australia, around the world actually. And so setting the scenes, also giving them a bit of a rundown, like we're going to have a bit of a dance party as we always do. So let them know that they can kind of dance along with me during the countdown section. And then sometimes I forget to say to them at the end of the episode, once we end, just hang around. And if I don't, I click that end button and the screen goes black as Ecamm is shutting down. And then they think that I'm gone and then they just leave. And I'm like, I didn't get to thank them. So, yes, I would say that's kind of the before and the after, not just the check-in, but reminding them to hang around at the end so I can thank them. And we usually, in regards to thanking them, I do want to give a massive shout out to Shalene Johnson and Brock Johnson for their podcast. I was a guest on theirs before I'd really gotten into this one, into Strategy with Sally, which used to be Straight Talk with Sally, but we rebranded it. And what they did after I finished the podcast episode, they sent me a beautiful orchid to thank me. And ever since then, a lot of times we will send a special thank you gift also to our guests because of what I got from Shalene that made me think, oh, that was so lovely. Like, I'll never forget her. And I believe that orchid, because my husband is right into plants, still flowers every year on my kitchen sink. So, or next to my kitchen sink. So, yeah, little guest gifts has always been a nice little sort of add on when they've really added value to the podcast. And I know my episode on Shalene and Brock's podcast, they refer to it even on stage about Sally, the Fortunes in the Follow-Up person. So they still go back to reference that podcast years later. Isn't that another really cool thing about podcasts? Is it's not just a right now. It's a thing that people go back and they can scroll back for years to listen to old episodes as well. I wanted to sort of say, go Ash, go.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I was going to say, one of the cool things about doing a podcast, you don't need crazy tech either. I mean, yes, Sal's got these really cool fancy mics and screens and all of that kind of stuff, but you can start basic, right? We all start somewhere, and working with what you've got, then you can do an episode on a throwback to where you were and what it looked like when you first set up. Obviously, make sure you're listening to Mars advice, make sure you're audible, and everything's good there. But a simple lapel mic, a simple webcam, close the bedroom door or whatever room you're doing it in, and crop your scene, and you can get started. You don't need crazy stuff in the beginning.
Yeah, that's it. I just had a USB mic in the early days. This one's got all other things connected to it because it's a good one. I give a shout out to Rode. They're an Aussie company. They do great microphones. I am not affiliated with them. I've tried, but they're not taking on affiliates. Don't you worry. I'm always trying. If it's something I love, I want to share it and be an affiliate. But the Rode mics are the ones that I've used, and working and helping in sort of the TV industry as well. That's a lot of what they also use. But there's cheap versions. Like, they are cheap. I mean, Ash, you just bought a lapel recently. How much was your lapel mic? I know it wasn't like a Rode, but still.
No, I bought it from a naughty place.
Okay.
Everyone block your ears. I got it on Temu. Sorry
We
about
won't
that.
tell my daughter.
I'm not using it right now. I'm using my AirPods. But yeah, I got like a double lapel mic from Temu, and it just plugs into my phone and attaches, and the audio was pretty good. Like, I didn't really have much in the way of an issue. And then I haven't started it yet or started any recordings, but I gave it a test, put the video on, tested the sound, and it was good. It was a good starting point, and it was like $9 Australian. So
There you go.
I mean, can't go wrong. And look, it's just for now. And you know, I'm just gonna maybe give it a go. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. Look, we'll give it a crack. We've got some sort of face to camera videos that you and I want to make, you know, this week. So we'll be testing your lapel mic out for that. Yeah. So also another thing I want to congratulate the team on, it's not just me, but it's the whole team, is for the last sort of 3 or 4 years, we've made it to the top 10 of the Australian Women Lifestyle Podcast list on FeedSpot, which are the people that, you know, go and they rank different podcasts. Yes, I know. This year, we've been slowly creeping up the ranks. This year, we made number 2. We are number 2 for Australian Women Lifestyle Podcast. So that's pretty awesome. We're all goaling next year, right? We're going to hit number 1. And then I'll definitely have to update. Sorry, Vinodi?
We need a drum roll for that.
Oh, we do? I don't know. Hang on. No, that's crickets. Hang on. No, that's scary sounds. There we go. Oh, that's more like a joke. I don't have a drum. I've got to get a drum roll one.
The drum roll.
Awesome. Look, thank you so much, team, for jumping on in. I mean, we've just had a bit of a chat here. I hope that some of you out there who are listening have found some tips and tricks around, you know, if you're thinking about doing a podcast, then having some ideas of how to get started. Exactly like Ash said, you do not need to have everything. I've heard many people just going for a walk, recording a podcast. I've listened to those episodes. Get yourself a little lapel mic and then go for a walk and talk. My therapist tells me that walking and talking is actually really good for you because your brain is focused on forward and it allows your sort of thought processes. Apparently it's great for husband and wife to go for a walk and talk as well because we talk more. And I've noticed that when I walk with my husband, I talk more. So talk to your listeners.
And it's now time for quickfire round for you.
For me.
We're quickfire rounding you.
Okay.
But they're not yes or no questions.
Okay. So you've got to do your own timers because I haven't set up a timer or anything for this scene to have you all on. So whoever's tracking the timer. All right, let's do it. Quick fire. Come on.
All right. Hang on. I'll set a timer on my phone.
Okay.
How long do we normally do for quick fire? Is it 2 minutes?
Yeah, it's normally 2.
Minutes.
I think I extended it to 2, because we weren't getting through enough.
All right. Ready?
Yeah.
Steady.
Yeah.
One word for episode 600.
Fun.
One thing every podcast host needs.
A good mic or a mic.
One thing to stop overthinking.
Starting.
One thing that makes recording easier.
Planning.
One thing that makes guest episodes smoother.
Structure and listening. Yeah, active listening.
One thing that helps with consistency.
Make it a routine, same day, same time, every week.
One thing that wastes time.
Procrastinating and trying to be perfect. It doesn't exist anywhere.
One thing you would tell a new podcast host.
Just be you. Don't overthink it. Just talk like you're talking to a friend across the coffee table, having a cup of coffee, which literally my husband just brought me out a cup of coffee, and just be you. Don't think about the listeners. Well, you're serving the listeners, but definitely just be you, like you're having a conversation. If you swear, you swear, right? Just be you.
One episode type every business owner should record.
Quick tips. That's what we do. Quick tips are great.
Solo or guest?
Ooh, I like guest. Yeah, I like guests better. So much more fun because I get to learn from them.
Scripted or candid?
I think it needs not script, but it needs a flow. So you need to know what you're saying at the start and sections through the middle and how to end, but it doesn't necessarily need to be scripted. You know your stuff. Like I usually just write a lot of dot points and then kind of I sneakily check my clock, and we have gone over time today, but it's a pretty special episode. Buzz. I love that. Thank you. All right. So I have one for all of you.
I was doing a quick type in Google. I'm like, quick, find some questions.
I love it. All right. I have one for each of you. So you've got to say, hi, my name is, insert your name, and I sparkle because. Let's kick it off with well, I'll give you a second to have a think. Some thinking music. Da, 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 da. All right. So, hi, my name is, and I sparkle because. Let's go, Vinodi.
Hi, my name is Vinodi, and I sparkle because my automations are working.
Yay, I love that. Yes. Awesome. All right. Ma, your turn. She's the one who always, I'll just say what happens in the background. So our show flow, I can see Ma typing in a Google Doc. And she usually, because I've forgotten a few times, but she will change the color and make the text bigger, smaller, bigger, smaller, bigger, smaller, so I don't forget to ask this question. One day we're going to do a montage of all the guests answering this. But anyway, it's quite a fun question that Ma actually came up with for the episode that we do all the time. So it's your turn now, Ma.
Yes. Hi, I'm Mar, and I sparkle because I choose to sparkle.
Yeah, everything's a choice, right? We can choose not to, or we can
Yes.
choose to. I love that. And Ash, your turn.
Hi, I'm Ash, and I sparkle because my brain runs on a different frequency and we just let it go.
We sure do. Thank you so much. Oops, wrong button. That wasn't scary.
I mean,
With some
it is
sparkles.
sometimes a little scary, the brain.
Thank you all for joining me on the podcast today. It's been so lovely. We will be doing some more of bringing the team on and sharing in podcast episodes moving forward. Let me just say, Vinodi and I had this conversation last week when she was scheduling and doing everything on Wednesday and Thursday. This morning I got up and Ash goes, you didn't tell me that we were doing a group exercise today, which I thought she's done very well. And then Ma literally got a message about 58 minutes before the podcast went live and said, do you want to come on? And here she is. So apart from Vinodi and I, we were the only ones who knew that this was going to be a guest scenario. So I do want to also take my hat off to Ash, who does have a sore throat right now, and Ma for the very short notice of, you're a few hours behind as well. So hopefully it's a reasonable time for you. Yeah, not too bad. Good. Luckily
Yes,
we shifted
it's
from
9
9 to
a.m.
10.
Yes.
Yeah, oh good.
Yeah.
We used to do them at 9 a.m. We moved to 10 just so that I get an extra hour in the morning on a Tuesday. Thank you so much, ladies. As always, we always end with
Thank
never
you.
let anyone, come on, help do it with me. Never let anyone.
Let
Never
anyone
let
dull your
anyone
sparkle.
dull your sparkle.
Yeah.
Always get one income producing activity done
Income
each and every
producing
day.
each day.
And
I'll,
everyday
I'll
be
see
marketing.
you.
Everyday be marketing. I love it.
That was the
Yeah.
grossest ending. So sorry, everyone. Ma, cut that.
Yeah, Ma. Thanks, team. Aren't these an amazing group of women? Look at them. Powerful women. I am so proud of the amazing team that we have here on screen. I mean, there are lots of people in this team, but you guys, big, strong, powerful women. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on our 600th episode. Yeah! Awesome. All right, we're going to shut it on down and we will head on out with our outro. I didn't actually get a scene for all of you on the outro screen, so it's just going to be me, but that's okay. We'll see you all. Give them a wave. Yay!
You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. You always thought thought that you were weak, but babe, you're wrong. Yeah, you better step into the light, just give it a try. Think that it's time you let that spark out. You've been hiding in the shadows way too long.